All right, welcome back to Soccer Matters. We're going to end it up here tonight in a big fashion here. Just want to remind you again about our presenting sponsors, John Daspit and the Daspit Law Firm. John and his firm, personal injury attorneys. You get in an accident, car, boat, motorcycle. You might work in a refinery. You might drive an 18-wheeler. All you got to do is call the Daspit Law Firm. They'll work for you 24/7 nights and weekends. 713-322-HURT. They're bilingual. They're going to work for you, as I mentioned, 24/7 nights and weekends. By the way, they support the game of soccer here on the airwaves. So a big thank you to John Daspit and the Daspit Law Firm, not only for representing people when they get in accidents, but also for moving the game forward in the media. All right, with that, we bring on a great way to end the night here. Tim Parker, Houston Dynamo captain and defender. He joins us now. Tim, thanks for coming on the show as always.
Yeah, no, always good to be on.
Well, we're glad to see you healthy. One thing that really impressed me in the Portland game is when you came onto the field, you kind of sent a message in my opinion, just how prepared you were. You coming in off the bench is not the easiest thing to do, but the way you ran onto the field just was like, hey, I'm all about business here.
Yeah. I think obviously battling an injury is always tough. It's something that luckily I haven't had to do much in my career. So when I was able to get back onto the field, I was really focused and really ready to come back out.
Tim, injury is a part of being a professional soccer player. Some get more than others. When I'm down there at that training on Thursday and I see you on the other field, it's kind of a lonely finger you cut over there. How much of that is mental coming back and making sure you stick to what people are telling you to do to get yourself back?
Yeah, a lot of it. I think it goes hand in hand because we have such a good medical team here in Houston in terms of trying to get us back as quickly as we can. But it's also kind of knowing your body and knowing what feels right versus what doesn't, and hopefully balancing the two of those, because I think that's the biggest thing, as well as much as you could pass tests and you can feel good one day, if you have a little bit of a setback, that can put you back a little bit. So you want to make sure that you're always kind of striving to get better day by day rather than putting like a specific timeline or something unattainable to it.
Yeah, you were very solid against the Portland Timbers. So exceptional stuff there. This overall collectively just looks a more stable, balanced, team when it comes to without the ball this year. Can you take us a little bit into that? Now, look, we all know there's roster changes and personnel changes, but what's made this a much more stable team defensively without, when you don't have the ball?
Yeah, I think we have a really clear picture of how we want to look. There's obviously things that we still need to work on and things that we'll iron out, but we have a very clear picture of when we're going into game week about our opponent, how we want to address them and how we want to play against them. And that's kind of what we work on throughout the week. I think sometimes things will change, tactics will change, but we have a really good idea of how we want to look come Thursday and Friday against that team on Saturday.
So you yourself, we hear about legendary athletes. This is how they prepare for games. Some guys do things differently than others. They're looking at tape, like FC Dallas. Once your game with Portland is over, do you go watch their game? Do you wait to hear it from Coach Paulo Nagamura? How do you do it? What's your routine?
Yeah, usually we like to go over the tape of Portland first before we look forward to the next game, just to make sure that what we did right was good or what we did wrong and how we can address those things. And then once we usually go over that tape, then it's kind of focusing in on the next task, which would be Dallas. So for us this week, obviously we played Portland on Saturday. Sunday, we actually had the day off for Easter. And then on Monday, it was kind of going over the tape. And then once that tape is over, it's tuning in towards Dallas.
Like, it's so easy to get access to these games now. Do you ever watch additionally at home, or do you just kind of say, look, I'm going to compartmentalize it. All I want to hear it is from Paulo's side of things.
Always, I think even after the game we played the other night against Portland, I came home and threw on that Inter Miami Seattle game, and I think it's always fun to watch games from around the league. I think obviously being in the league a while now, you get to know a lot of guys on a lot of different teams. So some of them you're friendly with and you want to see friends play and succeed. But at the same time, like you're saying, you use it as a scouting opportunity as well. So you can pick up players' tendencies.
All right. So you got Jesus Ferreira, who's a unique type of striker, coming into this game, likely a guy that likes to go underneath a little bit. What do you think about playing against him and that type of a striker? Because he is a very different type of striker.
Yeah, he definitely presents a difficult matchup just because of how he likes to play the position. But it's something that we're kind of prepping for right now, and we're going to continue to prep for the rest of the week. And we have a game plan. I think our game plan is going to work out really well. I think we played pretty well against them in the preseason matchups when we played them up in Dallas. So we're hoping to kind of continue on that little success that we had against them there and hopefully maximize on it.
It looks from the outside, and we're talking to Tim Parker, Houston Dynamo captain, center back, excellent game against the Portland Timbers. It seems that Matias Vera now is rooted a little bit more, in front of you positionally. Is that fair to say this year?
Yeah. I'd say that we like to have Mati a little bit more as our number 6, quote unquote. He does a really good job of reading the game. I think that's obviously been a part of Mati's game for a couple of years while he's been down here in Houston. But this year, for sure, I think he's just done a really good job of sitting in front of us, breaking up plays, and then obviously connecting and moving the ball up the field.
Yeah, he seems more disciplined. So with a guy like Ferreira, I would think your relationship with him is important. How much of kind of holding him in there do you do with your view from a center back is a little bit different than maybe his? How much moving of him do you do, and how much, hey, Mati, I need you to hold, I need you to stay? How much of that goes on?
Yeah, no, Mati's a really good listener.
I think I'd like to improve on personally, but anyway.
Mati pretends like sometimes he doesn't speak as much English as he wants people to believe, but he I think he understands me pretty well, especially on the field. There's ways to get around some communication blocks, but Mati does a really good job, and he's really understanding. So I think me and him have a good understanding of when we play together of how to solve problems on the field and how to solve things throughout the week. So I'm pretty confident going into the game with him.
Tim Parker, Houston Dynamo defender, formerly New York Red Bulls, has played for the U.S. men's national team as well. Now, obviously, do you look at the patterns of other teams? In other words, there are patterns that develop if you're watching teams consistently. And we see that O'Brien and Hara sometimes come off the bench, and on the road. And we all know how tricky dribblers in the 75th minute can be, right? Against fatiguing defenders. That poses a challenge as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. And especially a daytime game down here in Texas. But yeah, I think obviously it's one of those things that O'Brien, if he doesn't start the game, that he's got speed coming off the bench. So it's something that you kind of just note moving into that game, and not to say that you're saving yourself, because we want to be able to use subs, but that you're going to be able to mentally prepare yourself for those moments to be able to put yourself in good positions late in the game.
Anything different overall in the league you're seeing now, like tactically? Like for me, I see, Dallas is a team that certainly defends in a low block on the road, but then they come home and they don't necessarily go high press. They kind of seem to sit a lot in kind of a mid block. All these things propose different challenges for you guys week in and week out, right? And even though maybe we on the outside might not see it, or fans don't see it, there's a lot of subtle changes, right, that go into playing each and every team.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams in this league, when they go on the road, try to defend lower on the field, with the exception for maybe New York Red Bull. I think in my time at Red Bull, there was always the kind of go get them, we want them to have the ball mentality. And I think with other teams, when you go on the road, it's look, like, we're going to let them have the ball a little bit, and we're going to see how they play, how aggressive they want to get. Once they throw numbers, let's see if we can catch them. And I definitely think that playing at home, every team wants to make that an advantage. And I think that obviously when we go to Dallas this weekend, it's something that they're going to try to use to their advantage, playing at home, getting the crowd behind them. And we have to be able to weather those storms when times get tricky, and then capitalize on our opportunities.
Yeah, they don't seem to create a ton of chances, but they're efficient. And of course, Ferreira's got 5, had a hat trick against Portland. They got the young kid, the dribbler Velasco, and I know you guys have seen him. He's an interesting player and a guy that breaks some lines and things.
Yeah. He's someone that we're definitely gonna have to keep our eye on. It's a very interesting dynamic with those front three. You know, you have Velasco, Areola, and Ferreira. And like you said, kind of Ferreira plays that false nine and lets kind of Velasco and Areola kind of run a little bit more kind of inside. So we have to be aware of those runners and obviously keeping tracks of Ferreira when he drops inside.
Do you like the tactical game? I mean, do you like talking about it like this, or do you just want to say, "Hey, look, I'm a center back. I just want to get out there and play"?
No, I do think it's very important for me to understand the tactics. At some point, there is a tactical wall that I could hit that I'm just like, look, defending is defending. I got to defend, and that's my job. But understanding tactics to a certain degree is definitely a necessity.
Do you feel like in the span that you've looked at the game, because the data and analysis is off the charts now. I mean, they're renaming positions. I mean, I got this email the other day, like how they're renaming different players on the field now. It's absolutely bizarre. It just seems to further confuse things. But does it ever get too much? Because look, we all know data and analysis is important if used correctly, but it does seem at times it goes over the top.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line. I like to joke around with some of the younger guys in the locker room. The 17, 18-year-old guys that I joke around with them. And I say, before any of this data, I would go from a lacrosse game in the morning to a soccer game at night when I was in high school. And these guys are getting kind of rest days and regen days, and I like to joke around with them about that stuff. But I mean, the data. I mean, it's there to help us. And I think that obviously that's such an important part of the game moving forward in how the game is developing and how aggressive and how physical it's becoming, especially in our league. And I think with all the travel and everything that goes into it, it's definitely going to help in the long run.
All right. So listen to some of these new names they're using: ground to air blocker, air blocker playmaker, filter man playmaker. So when's the last time you played against a good infiltrator creator? I would say that's probably a number 10, a guy like Darwin Quintero, right?
Yeah.
Infiltrates, creates.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of these sound like NFL positions, but
Yeah, it does. Well, I'll tell you what, the first coach who uses one of these should be fired immediately. Has to be fired immediately. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it is. It is definitely different. All right, so let me get you back to just the season so far, the camaraderie, and I know you've played under a lot of different coaches. You've had a lot of different influences, even going back to college and Dave Major. What do the best coaches do? Like, I just marvel at what Guardiola and Klopp are doing at these teams with these guys making this kind of money, keeping them focused. These two teams always look like the game is the most important thing to them. Their players behave that way as well. There's no rhyme. I mean, it's no surprise to me that they're so far ahead of everybody else in the Premier League. What do you think the best coaches do to manage ego? Because every team has them at every level, and sort of the whole livelihood and competitiveness amongst the team, and then keep them on message to the way you want to play. What do the best guys do?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think one is being prepared. I think the coach's preparation is just as important as the player's preparation, just in terms of showing how much that they care and how much that they want success. And then if they're prepared and they care and they want the success, that they're then showing the players like, look, we've done the homework, we've done the research. This is how we want to play against them. This is how we'll find success. Because I feel like when you find coaches that are prepared and willing to do those kind of things, you want to play for those guys because they want to win. And obviously anyone that plays the game right now wants to win. And if your coach wants to win and your coach is willing to put in that work, then you want to put in the work for that coach and for the rest of the guys around you. And I think that that's very important. I think Paulo's done a really good job of that this year. Like I said earlier, like every weekend we go into a game and we're really prepared in terms of what that team's going to look like offensively and defensively. And then I also think that it comes down to managing players in all different aspects. I think whether you want to say it as like a player's coach or managing the locker room in terms of how training's going that week, lighter, a little bit more intense, how you want to get the guys going. And I think that right now we're doing a really good job in terms of keeping things light and fun, but also kind of getting competitive. And I think that that's a really good part to how our season is going and how our camaraderie is building.
Do you like having a coach that talks to you a lot? Do you need that personally? Because some guys don't really need it. Others maybe do.
Yeah, I think not necessarily that I need it. I definitely think that the role of being a captain, you want to be able to talk to the coach to definitely get a feel for what he's seeing and what you're seeing and kind of have that open dialogue. But I definitely think that there's a balance between that as well.
And I know I've asked you, and we're talking to Tim Parker, Dynamo captain, center back, brought here to be a big leader, having an outstanding season up until he got injured, having an outstanding season since he's come back. You know, for you in that position, over your span in MLS now, you played a lot of games. And I think I've asked you this question before, but I'll ask it again. How much has the position changed for you? You know, how much has it maybe changed from last year under Tab Ramos to this year under Paulo Nagamura? Are you asked to do anything different, distribution wise, or, you know, anything?
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, from when I first came into the league, the position has changed a lot. You know, I think in different systems, you're asked to do different things. So my time in Vancouver was a much different system. Red Bull was obviously kind of the most chaotic system probably, but chaotic to some success. And then obviously now down here in Houston, this new system, I think it's been suiting us really well. I think it's been suiting me really well in terms of how we want to defend as a group and how we want to be organized and stuff like that, because I enjoy talking on the field. I enjoy kind of organizing guys in front of me, getting guys in places. And it's obviously kind of what I was saying about Mati earlier. When you have guys in front of you that are listening and willing to do that kind of hard work of organizing, and even guys like DQ is obviously doing a really good job right now, and he's having a really good year, and I give him a lot of credit because the way we defend, he's obviously kind of at the front of our defensive shape, and when he now goes without the hesitation that everyone else is coming with him, you know. So when he's stepping out to defend something, kind of the whole line is squeezing with him. And it shows that we're kind of together and how we want to be defensively. And I think that's a really big part of what we want to do and what we want to build on.
Collective defending has been a real plus for you guys. We will look forward to this one, the Texas Derby. Anything you want to say about the rivalry? Obviously, you're always up for these kind of games.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously we're really looking forward to it. You know, we had some good success against the Texas teams last year. We're really looking forward to picking up where that is or picking up where we came off of last year and continuing to keep going and building on what's going on this year.
Tim, thanks so much for coming on. Best of luck against FC Dallas. As always, we appreciate your availability on the show.
Yeah, no, thank you, Glenn. I'm always glad to come on.
All right. That's Tim Parker, Dynamo captain. This is ahead of Houston Dynamo FC Dallas this weekend. By the way, you can hear the English language call. Eddie Robinson and I will have it right here on ESPN 97.5. That does it here tonight for Soccer Matters. Big thank you to Tim and all the guests tonight. Plus, you can hear the podcast of this show at ESPN975.com. Don't forget, pick up your Soccer Matters t-shirt at lamontbrands.com. lamontbrands.com, because every single nickel of it goes to the 501c Pediatric Cancer Charity, the Snowdrop Foundation. For producer Andrew Carlson, I'm Glenn Davis. Until next week, remember, Soccer Matters. Thanks for tuning in tonight.